Hello everybody, my name is CulBlu and I'm bringing out this video of me talking about a board game, and today I'll be doing my review of Flash Duel, a game, a two-player dueling game that I did a playthrough of previously. Also, I'm kind of experimenting a little bit with my sound, so if things sound weird, please bear with me because I'm trying to experiment with things for, you know, like noise gates and whatnot. So let's go and get into the game though. So let me go ahead and get our background music started because we will never get away from that. There we go. Look at that, listen to that luxurious background music. And we will go ahead and talk. Oh, oh no, sorry. Sorry, for those who are watching, sorry, my apologies. I do live stream on Twitch, it's twitch.tv/CulBlu, but there's somebody in the chat saying, oh my gosh, is Bear there with you now? No, this is just me. Just good old CulBlu by himself. Bear, who I live stream with, he's a friendly neighborhood gamer, or FNG Rally NC. He is we do board game stuff on Thursdays, so check us out on Thursday on twitch.tv/FNG Rally NC. That's friendly neighborhood gamer, Raleigh, North Carolina, Rally NC. So check us out there. All right. Going back into here though, let's talk about a review of this game. So Flash Duel is a game to where you are essentially trying to duel your opponents in a flash. It's kind of self-explanatory. It's a very quick game. It's a very simple game. It's a very straightforward game. So much so that I feel pretty confident teaching this game to people. I probably shouldn't feel so confident teaching this game to people because it does have some nuance in its rules. You know, just enough nuance to kind of, you know, trip you up if you're not paying attention, and things to kind of give you the advantage if you know them, but also enough to where it can really impact the game for somebody who's not familiar with the game. So I'm going to explain the game by playing out some mock rounds while I'm doing all this, and then we'll go ahead and talk about the review, about things that I like and things that I don't like, so that people who are watching will have enough of an idea of how the game flows to kind of stick with it. So you have this deck of cards. There are numbered cards that go from numbers 1 through 5, or 1 to 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 40 cards in this deck, so there's 8 of each number. And you can, to some degree, count the cards, but at the start of the game, or at the start of each round, before you do start, you will take 5 cards, 2, 3, 4, 5, away from the deck and put them to the side, and you'll shuffle those back in afterwards. But for right now, those cards are out of the game. And then you'll deal each person 5 cards. So this is a 2-player game, so we'll both start on the start little thing. One person starts on one end, the other person starts on the other. And I'm gonna deal out 5 cards. 3, 4, 5. And oh, it says here in the Twitch chat from Chai Doodle here, it says can't count those cards more than I can count on you all. Oh, thanks. This is adorable. All right, going back over to here, we have oh, that's too many cards. That's 6. Math is hard. All right, I think I miscounted. I was reading Twitch chat, that's my excuse. So everybody has 5 cards. Who can count cards when you have too many cards, right? And the person who will go first in this case will have orange go first, or the orange player go first. So what happens is on your turn, you will play a card. You'll discard a card, and that card will be played. Now the things you can do on your turn, you can move, you can strike, you can do a dashing strike, or you can, oh yeah, no, those are the only things you can do. Let me double check, sorry. Let me get the rule book real fast and make sure. I feel like there's a 4th thing I'm missing. There's dashing strike, strike, move, and I guess move backwards. Is that the one I'm looking for? Oh, push, yeah, push. You can push. So I'll explain those as they come up, but first things first, of course, we're gonna do a move. So we can play any of these cards from my hand. So I have my little hand of cards. I'm gonna play this 4, and I'm gonna move forward 4 spaces. So I go from this 1 over to the 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's it. My turn's over. At the end of that, I will refill my hand, or I don't know if the rulebook calls it officially recover. Let's see. Yeah, they don't really call it recovering here, but I mean, recovering means something very specific. So, but yeah, I'm just gonna call it recover here. So you recover, so you just draw your hand back up to 5, and your turn's done. Now we go over to the opponent. My opponent, they're gonna be aggressive. They're gonna move forward to 5. Boom, look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just getting closer to the battle, the pending battle. And they're gonna recover. And they got another 5 in their hand. Now we're gonna go back to me. Now you have these cards secret from each other. Of course, you won't see each other's hands, so you won't know what's in your opponent's hand. So you'll be trying to play cards and get yourself into a good position to strike or to attack and take out your opponent, because the round ends once either person gets hit or when the deck runs out. If the deck runs out, then whoever's furthest along on the track, so in this case, I think we're tied. No, in this case, gray is further along. They're closer to orange's end, then orange is closer to gray's end. Then they would win the round at timeout. So it's very important to try to get in, smack your opponent, and then you're good. So moving back over here, let's see. I want to try something daring here. I am 7 spaces away. Nope, not. I am 8 spaces away. So I cannot do the daring thing I want to do. So I'm instead going to just go ahead and move, and I'm going to move with a 1. And I'm going to move instead of forward, I'm going to move backwards for strategic reasons. It's strategery. Oh, look, I got a 1 back. Nice. Now we go to my opponent. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to try to go in and smack me, but they can't because they got 2 5s and they are 9 away. So they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 away. So they're going to move forward really aggressive. Actually, no, not. They're going to move forward with the 2. Strategy. All right, they're going to get their card back over to me. And this is kind of how the game goes until you get into that striking range. So I'll keep playing as we go in our little demo here with the movement. I'm pretty sure you guys understand how movement works. But we got more demos here. So this is, oh man, 4 minus 11 is that 7? That's 7. That's 7. It's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's 7. So now we'll do our first attack here. We'll do what's called a dashing strike. So we're going to dashing strike. We're going to dash with the 4. So we're going to move forward with the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to, now that we're within range, we're going to strike with the 3. And we're going to choose to strike with 2 3s. So we're going to power up that strike. And basically what that means is that my opponent has to respond. So because I did a dashing strike, it's a little bit special. It's a little bit different from just a simple strike. But I'll explain dashing strike since we're doing it right now. Now that we're doing a dashing strike, still my turn. My opponent must respond. And that response is they can either block or they can retreat. So dashing strikes, they can either block or retreat. If it is a strike, then they can only block, but in this case, they can choose to block or retreat. My opponent must block by playing numbers equal to what I played, and they must play the same number of numbers that I played. So in this case, they got to play 2 3s, or they got to play. They got to either play 2 3s to block that successfully, or they have to retreat. So in this case, they have no 3s, so of course they're going to retreat. So they're going to choose to retreat, let's see, they're going to retreat the 5. They're going to play the 5 to kind of get all the way out of there. And they're going to run away 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now that's done, still my turn, so I'm going to recover my cards. I'm going to draw back up to 5 cards. And that's done. Now, my opponent's turn, because they retreated from a dashing strike, the only thing they're allowed to do is they're allowed to recover. So all they can do is just get a little recovery card, and that's it. Their turn's done. Now it's back over to my turn. So as you can see, when you do a dashing strike, you kind of force your opponent back and you push him back. So that can be a really cool thing overall. But in this case, I basically kind of stunned them for a turn essentially. So back over to me. Let's see, are they 7 away again? No, that looks like they're 8 away. I don't have enough numbers to kind of get there. So I'm just going to be cautious and I want to move back 2. Because I've seen a few 1s in here. I don't want to get too close. And I know there's a few 5s down here because I have one of them and I saw a few 5s previously, but you can't really tell. You can't always tell. So I want to be very safe. So I'm playing a 2 to back up. 1, 2, get my little card back. And then over to my opponent. Now they can do the normal turn and they will now do a dash, or they'll move forward 4. And that's it. So now they fill the cards, and then we kind of just keep going until somebody strikes somebody. I'm going to finish this round. I'm going to finish this round. I know it seems boring, but we're just going to go with it. So now let's see. We are 6 away, so we can actually do a dashing strike with a 4 and a 2, or a 5 and some 1s. So ooh, I like that. Okay, so we're going to do a dashing strike, and you know what? We're going to throw caution to the wind. We're going to dash with a 5. And then we're going to strike with 2 1s. We're powering up that strike. So we're saying, hey, if you can't do this, you got to retreat. And I'm expecting my opponent to retreat, but my opponent says, haha, joke's on you. I got 2 1s to block. So my opponent has blocked successfully. So I'm going to finish my recovery, draw 3 cards. And now it's over to my opponent's turn. My opponent can now do a normal turn. Because they did not retreat, they're not forced to just recover, but they don't have anything they can play. And the move that I just did was extremely risky because I didn't realize my opponent had those 2 1s. If they happen to have 3 1s in their hand though, I'm done for because I have no 1s to block. They can just strike me. When somebody strikes you, you cannot run away. But in this case, luck is on my side. My opponent doesn't have anything. So my opponent instead will do a push. They'll just play a 3 to push me back. 1, 2, 3. That's the push action. When you are next to or adjacent to your opponent, and you can play a number during your turn to move them back that many spaces. So my opponent pushed me 3 spaces, and now they're gonna draw their cards back up to 5. There we go. And now I'm actually in a really good spot because I am 1, 2, 3, 4 away. I want to play my 2 4s to strike. And now my opponent has to respond. Because I did a strike, they cannot retreat. They have to either block or lose. So in this case, my opponent, they do have a 4, but they need 2 4s because I did a super powerful double 4 strike. So unfortunately, they cannot block. They have been struck and they have lost. So therefore, the winner is going to be me. And that is one of the 5 of the best of 5 that we'll play. Sorry, one of the 3 victories that I need to win the best of 5. So that's how the game goes back and forth. In that, you saw pretty much every single thing you can do in this game. The only other thing I didn't mention was that you can dashing strike. So if I'm here, for instance, let's say I'm here and I got some 1s. Let's say I got 2 little 1s here, and this is what my hand looks like. Let's see, I got too many cards now. Sure. Let's say this is what my hand looks like. One thing that you can do that's actually pretty powerful is that you can do a dashing strike with a higher number. So in this case, I can play my, let's say I'm gonna play my 3. I'm gonna play a 3 here. So I'm only 2 spaces away from my opponent, but I'm playing a 3 to do a dashing strike. So dash 3, strike with 2 1s. So dash 3, and then I'm striking with 2 1s. That's completely legal. The rulebook specifically calls this out in the FAQ in the back. And my opponent can either respond by blocking with 2 1s or they can retreat because I did a dashing strike. So in this case, they're going to clearly just do a retreat. They're going to retreat with a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And, I draw my cards back up and I keep going. So that is one thing I want to point out here specifically because it can come up and it is pretty strong. And in that one, we almost went the distance. We had a few cards left before the end of the round. And as you can see, the game goes pretty quickly, even though I was kind of playing two-handed, things kind of moved along smoothly. So now that we have that kind of playthrough through and everybody kind of sees what's there, let me go ahead and talk about the things that I like, the things that I don't like, and then some other stuff, some other ramblings and thoughts. So some of the things that I like, I'll just say 3 things. Thing number 1 is that this game is pretty fast. This game is pretty fast, it's pretty quick. It's a great filler game if you and a friend, you may be doing like a 3-player board game night, and it's just the 2 of you that are there and the other person's gonna be 30 minutes late or something. You can put this game on the table, teach it, play it, get a few good rounds in, and you can even bring in the powers, which I didn't talk about. The powers are essentially, there are 20 different characters you can play, and each character has 3 cards. And these 3 cards will give you abilities that you can use, and your opponent will have their own abilities that they can use. And these abilities will do things like that essentially just break the rules. So in this case, the Fire Archer, who is this character, so Jaina Stormborn, the Phoenix Archer, sorry. She has a card that essentially lets you play it as a 6. So at the start of your turn, you can hit an opponent 6 spaces away. So you basically just win the game in a 1v1. She also has another ability that says you get to retrieve a 5 from the discard pile, and the trigger for it is there at the start of her turn. So all these are the start of her turn. Comparatively speaking, let's bring in another character. Let's bring in this ghost dude, Jefferson DeGray. So here's Jefferson DeGray, and if you look at his cards will show you that he has completely different abilities. So this one says Pile Bunker. So Pile Bunker says you retreat. So the trigger is if I as Jefferson DeGray, if I as Jefferson DeGray retreats from a dashing strike, if you're 4 spaces from that opponent after retreating, you may immediately attack with 4s. So that can be pretty strong. Spectre Pull. It says start of your turn, pull an opponent from a light space towards you 1 space. And then next one, Spectral Push. Start of my turn is the trigger for it, so I can choose to activate this. And then push an opponent from a dark space away from you 1 space. And the way this works is essentially when you use the ability, you tap it or rest it or whatever they want to call it. and then of course you can't use it for that round. For the remaining, no, you cannot use that ability again for the remainder of the round. And yeah, so there's a whole bunch of different abilities. There's a whole bunch of different stuff. It gives you it breathes more life into the game, because the game can become very samey, and that's the thing I'll talk about in the negatives. But for now, you have variety in the modes that you can play. There's even a cooperative fight the dragon mode, to where essentially you will go in and it'll allow you to fight a dragon. And you can even add a traitor and a loyalist mechanic inside of this as well. This game, for something so small, does give you a whole lot to try to work with, and it tries to take the mechanics of what's in it and give you a lot more to play around with, and I do appreciate that greatly. So that is going into my likes. The game is quick. The game has a lot of variety, and I do think that the game is a really good value, because I think when I bought this game for like $35 MSRP, or $35 USD is what I meant to say. I don't know what the MSRP is for it, but I think this game is a solid $30 game. I honestly think it was be a solid $40 game. 50 is kind of pushing it, especially for what you get in here. But that is that. Also, I talked about this in the playthrough, but I'll talk about it here as well. You do get a deck, or you do get a set of cards as a board in card form. So right there, so you can actually set up a little board. So I'll show it here. It doesn't have the numbers, which is a little annoying, but you can still play the game portably, and you can run around with your friends and do yourself a nice little Flash Duel. You got the deck of cards here. You can use like some pennies or some coins for the victory tokens, and then you can use like a piece of tissue paper or something for each player, so you can mark their little marker, or maybe get like a die or something. And you can basically just play Flash Duel, and they actually give you a box. I don't have it; it's on the bookshelf, but you can just put it into a little deck box. It all fits in there. This is the actual deck box that I keep everything in. But you put it into a little deck box along with this, like so. And with my meeples here, I could just use my meeples. And I think I can even fit these in there. And as long as you know the rules, you got the entire game in your pocket. So it's very portable. And I appreciate that greatly. Like, you have the whole game. You can even, if you want to go that far, carry 2 deck boxes and carry the rest of the game in it. So you can have the trader mechanic, you can have this, and again, as long as you know the rules, you can even get a PDF file of the rules on your phone or something, and you can just have those with you too, and then just walk around like this. I got all of Flash Duel right here in these 2 deck boxes, or get yourself a double deck box, or like one of those fancy, GameGenic token silo things, or whatever they're called, and have it all in one spot. So portability, variety, quick game. I do enjoy the experience of it. I do think that the back and forth is pretty nice. So I think it's a pretty good overall showing for such a game. Now, as far as the things I don't like about this game, I will say that despite the fact that the game gives you variety, it is very samey. Playing from one round to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. Like, by the time I do like maybe one best of 5, or best of 5, I feel like I'm pretty much done with the game. I don't want to play anymore. Unless somebody really likes the game, or unless it really get somebody going, get somebody excited about playing board games, and for sure I'll play it more. But I think that the decision space is very small in this game. It's essentially kind of play the cards that you can. It gives you enough cards to feel like you have some agency in what's going on, but in reality you're kind of just waiting for those cards to show up. You even saw in my demo that things ran a little bit longer, a lot longer than I wanted them to, because we were getting small numbers and we were moving forward with small numbers while holding on to bigger numbers, or hoarding bigger numbers in our hands. And then by the time we actually got to the point to where me and my opponent could actually fight each other, there was some blocking, there was retreating, there was like dashing backwards slightly, and a lot of maneuvering that basically made the round go long. And I've definitely seen situations to where I've had rounds that went, like one round of this, a long round of this will be about 7 minutes in my opinion. 7 minutes is a very long time to be playing just one match, one round of this game. And I've had situations where the games have gone like 7 or 8 minutes. And then I've also had ones where the game was like 30 seconds. It's like, I play my card, they play their card, I play my card, and then they play a strike, and it's like, oh shoot, okay, well I guess I didn't do math right, and I lost. So it can be over quickly, it can be over slowly. And I think that that's a con. There's a little bit of temperamentalness, if you will, to the length of the game and to the depth of the game that you can get into. And that random factor that comes from the cards your opponent has that you don't know, from the cards that you have in your hand, That chaos factor, I think it's something to super consider, and I think it does kind of diminish the game a little bit. It's not bad. I just want to say that it gives you the illusion that the decision space is much wider than it actually is, because really what you're doing is you're trying to say, okay, I don't want to get rid of my fives, because what if my opponent hits me from 5 spaces away? I want to be able to block and strike them back. Or I don't want to get rid of my ones, because ones are super valuable. But if your opponent ever gets close to you, then you're just kind of wasting space in your hand. So I feel like it kind of takes elements from a game, like soft elements from a game like Lost Cities, where the whole point of the game is like, you're trying to hoard things in your hand to stop your opponent from getting them. But because you're stopping your opponent from getting it, it's clogging up your hand. And then your opponent's doing the same thing to you. And then your opponent knows that they have it, then you don't. And there's kind of some of that going on in this game. But there's only 1 through 5, and there's 8 of each card, so it kind of gets to the point where card counting is not as big of a deal. I will also say that the first edition, or the first printing of the second edition, because this is second printing of the second edition, if I'm not mistaken. The first printing of the second edition had, I think it had 60 cards instead of 40, and it allowed you to either have 2 decks of 30 and play the game that way, or 1 deck of 50. To play with like the bigger version of the game, and that I think kind of gave a little bit more like quickness to the game, to where you have way less cards inside the deck. Let's see, there's 5 numbers, and yeah, so it's 6 of each number because it's 30, and it made the game a lot quicker, especially with card counting. You can count a lot easier, but I do think ultimately I like the way that this one's set up better, with just a single 40 card deck to use for all modes instead of having, a 50 card deck for the big mode, and then a 30 card deck for the simple mode, and then some variation of the deck for other modes. I do like it better because 40 is a pretty good number. There's 8 of each card. There's a really good chance there's going to be more than just a few of the numbers that you need. It's going to make card counting a little bit harder, so you have to kind of more rely on just good tactical reading of the board instead of just random. But the thing I think that's lost in that is that it kind of stretches out the game, because you got way more 5s, you got way more 4s, and it makes the game a little bit longer. So on the one hand, I know it's in the pros that the game is quick, but in my con section, I'm essentially saying that I do think the game can last longer than it should. It can kind of overstay its welcome, and I think that's a pretty I don't want to say glaring issue, but it's just again contributes to that temperamentalness of the rounds, where you're just waiting around for cards. That's a con. And another con is that sometimes it just drags on. It's like, this game is not that deep. Like, why is it going that one? And also, last thing I'll say as another con is the character abilities. So the reason why I say the character abilities are a con is because sometimes the matchups just mean that you're just gonna lose. Some matchups are just good, some matchups are just bad. Sometimes you lose in the drafting phase, as in you're trying to choose which character you want to play as, and if you choose the wrong one, you're just gonna lose. It's gonna be an uphill battle because you're gonna win 3 out of 5, and that cannot feel great. Where you're getting beat up on, and your character cards aren't helping you. Like for instance, when you play solo, you reveal all the cards for your opponent because you have to be able to see them to make your decisions. And one of the characters, actually I'll just bring them out. One of their character cards are to, if your opponent retreats, then look at your opponent's hand. And it's like, well, I already see my opponent's hand, so that's kind of a wasted card. And it just feels like a wasted ability overall. So that's something that's unique to playing solo, but that can also happen when you play certain matchups to where your opponent just has something that counters it. Actually, I think there's a character in here who has a counter card where essentially it just says, when an opponent uses an ability, just prevent that ability from triggering. Hey, here's a character. Sorry. Case in point, this character. So it says your opponent uses an ability on a dark space, from a dark. Okay, so it has to be specifically a dark space. Counter that ability. But that just means that your opponent, I guess there's kind of a mind game to where your opponent doesn't want to use an ability unless they're on a light space. And just to clarify, this is a dark space here, this is a light space, so they kind of alternate between the two. But that ability becomes useless if your opponent doesn't have anything that's really worth countering. Or for instance, this one here, the opponent reveals their hand if they retreat from your dashing strike. So that's not useful when playing solo. And that can kind of happen in other situations with other combinations of opponents that you might be facing. So that can be really frustrating. Again, I like the variety. I like the fact that they included it. So I would much rather them include something that I feel annoyed at than to not include it, because it gives you variety and good value add. But I just want to point out that that's definitely a con for me. There's also a trader mechanic, like a fight the dragon trader cooperative mode. I haven't played with it yet. I'm assuming it's fine. I don't feel that enthusiastic to bring in more than just 2 people. I feel like this is a 2-player game, and it should stay a 2-player game. But again, I appreciate the fact that they gave you a way to play with more than just 2 people. So you can also do 2v2 in this, apparently. Let me double check the rules here. Yeah, so there's a custom clockwork mode, which is 1v1, where you get to just kind of draft different abilities from different characters. So instead of picking one character with 3 abilities, you just kind of draft abilities from different a selection of things. There's a full 1v1 mode that we talked about, where you play with the character ability and the thing. There's a simple mode, which is what you saw me demo here. There's solo mode, which is what I played in my previous playthrough. Then there's a team battle 2v2. There's a raid on dragon or Death Strike Dragon, and then there's a betrayal at raid on Death Strike Dragon. So essentially, it gives you like a 4v or 5 players, 1 person's a traitor. You got to figure out who's a traitor type thing. And yeah, it's a pretty good overall showing of a game. I think if I had to give this game a rating out of 10. I don't know if I have rated this game out of 10, but if I had to give this game a rating out of 10 right now, I would give it a solid 7. I was gonna say 6.5, but I feel like it deserves a little bit more respect than that. So between a 6.5 and a 7 for me, I think that this game is a really good game. I think it's a great game if I have a 2-player situation. We want to play something quick. I got to teach it to them. This is like a nice game to kind of pick up, throw on the table, do a round or 2 of it, see if the person likes it. If they do, we can try with the character abilities, see if they like it more. If they like it even more, we can try with the drafting of abilities and just kind of get more value out of the game. I do appreciate the mechanics of the game, like kind of doing the strikes versus dashing strikes. It kind of takes like a simple mechanic and gives you like kind of a more complex way to do it. Because sometimes there's benefit in retreating or moving away from your opponent as opposed to moving towards them. And you kind of have that game of chicken going on. And also, it's really cool that all you have to do is just hit your opponent once. Like if you hit your opponent once, or they get caught slipping once, then that's over. It's game over. You finish the round, and then you start over. And then you start afresh, and then you try to use the meta from last game to figure out how your opponent plays, and you try to learn your opponent. It makes for a very good versus game. So I think that kind of justifies the 7 out of 10 that I want to give it, especially as a 2-player game. So yeah, so that's kind of my overall feeling on the game. I don't really have much else to say outside of pretty fun game. Here's the dragon cards, by the way. I didn't bring these out, but they're oversized cards. So I'll go ahead and open these. I guess I'll go ahead and open these now. But these are the Dragon's Death Strike cards, or Death Strike Dragon. Pretty cool abilities here. Oh, does somebody play? Oh, I see. I see. Oh, okay. I just realized this. So this is a 4v1. So this is a 4v1 with the betrayal mechanic, and this is a all versus 1 with no betrayal mechanic, or a cooperative versus a bot dragon. Okay, cool. All right. The more you know. Oh, also I forgot to mention this. There's also achievements in here. So if you do play solo, there are achievements, and I'll show those on the screen because I got 2 of them. Oh no, I didn't get 2 of them. Well, I played this game so many times, so I've unlocked a few of these achievements in my time. Hello fellow gamers. But there are achievements inside of this one as well. So if you play solo, you get different achievements. So for instance, win the game versus the Rook bot with 3 different characters. Ooh, I forgot to mention this. When you play solo, there's 3 different solo modes. There's the dummy ability, or dummy character with no abilities. There's the one that plays as Garish Rook, and there's the one that plays as the Death Strike Dragon, which has these abilities up here. It's nice that they give you the variety. They try to take what they have in the system and try to throw more stuff in there to give you more value. So I appreciate the game design. Again, I do feel that it comes up a little bit short and also ends up kind of overstaying its welcome sometimes. But ultimately, 7 out of 10 is what I give it, and that is where I will end things here. So let me know what you guys think in the comments about this game. I enjoy this game quite a bit. Also, let me know what you guys think of the audio. Like I said, I'm trying new stuff here. I'm trying to like reduce the background noise, but just short of setting up my build, setting up my streaming setup in a different room, it's not going to happen. So my apologies. My apologies. All right. So that is going to be it for this video, though. Thank you all very much for watching. Like I said, let me know what you all think in the comments below about this game. If you want to play it, if you want to try it, if you have played it, what are your thoughts? And I hope you all enjoyed it. And as always, I will see y'all whenever.